You are listening to episode 6 of the EU Startups podcast. Today with Daniel Gebler, the CTO of the Dutch unicorn Picnic, which is operating Europe's fastest growing online supermarket. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the EU Startups podcast. 2 weeks ago we launched the EU Startups Club and I'd like to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to everyone who already joined us. Your club membership will help EU Startups not only to survive the current crisis, which forced us to postpone this year's EU Startup Summit, but it will help us to further improve our editorial output in the coming weeks and months. Aside of unrestricted access to our content and startup database, your club membership also gives you access to additional members-only content, our quarterly club calls, and the Startup Scale-Up and Corporate and VC package also lets you post an unlimited amount of job postings on our EU Startups job board. So if you haven't signed up yet, we'd be excited to welcome you to the club soon. And before we jump into the interview with today's guest, I'd like to say a big thank you also to our podcast sponsor. The EU Startups podcast is powered by ShareWorks by Morgan Stanley. Combining cutting-edge technology with outstanding client service, ShareWorks by Morgan Stanley provides solutions designed for the unique needs of startups. ShareWorks by Morgan Stanley simplifies the complexities of equity plan management, helps you engage with your employees, and provides your business with the tools it needs to comply with local and regulatory requirements. As an integrated platform, everything from HRIS integration to audit-ready financial reporting works together seamlessly for improved accuracy, collaboration, and decision-making. For more information, visit shareworks.com or check out the link in our show notes to schedule a free demo. And now, without further ado, let's jump right into the phone interview with today's guest. Today's interview guest of the EU Startups podcast is Daniel Gebler. Daniel is the CTO and a co-founder of Picnic. Founded in 2015 and based in Amsterdam, Picnic is the world's fastest growing online supermarket. Allowing customers to order food through a simple app, Picnic aims to make grocery shopping fun, affordable and fast for everyone. The groceries are then delivered by Picnic's fleet of electric vehicles. Having raised a total of more than 300 million euros in funding, Picnic is growing rapidly and recently also expanded into the German market. Daniel, thank you so much for taking the time and for joining me at the EU Startups podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start at the very beginning, Daniel. For everyone who's not familiar yet with Picnic, how does the business model work, and do you also store the groceries or are you just delivering?
So, Picnic is an online supermarket that delivers all the food you love, all the daily groceries at the lowest price and no delivery fee proposition. So that means for us that we have actually the supply chain fully under our control. We have warehouses, we have delivery vehicles, suppliers deliver to our warehouse, and then we deliver from the warehouse to the cities in a new logistical delivery model, which we call the en route. And that actually is the result of an observation from a customer research that we did, where we tried to understand why, until 2015, nobody at a significant scale was ordering groceries online, why everybody felt comfortable to buy non-food items online. So if you look to electronics, to books, to fashion, everything has been already pretty big. If you look to the online share, while food has been still pretty small. And we identified two key reasons that hold back customers to order online. The first reason is that nobody wants to wait for the groceries. So therefore, we were looking for a delivery model that can deliver faster, that can deliver more accurate. The second observation is nobody wants to pay for the deliveries. So therefore, we looked for a logistical model that allows us to not ask the customer for delivery fees. And then we actually came to the insight that delivering with a new model based on a milkman route instead of a taxi route would be much more efficient. So what does it mean? If you look to the way how delivery models work these days, then normally customers ordering at 10 o'clock in the eastern part of the city, then 10:20 in west, 10:30 in the north, and 10:40 in the south. What it means for you as a delivery company, you're going crisscross through the city like a taxi, you have long intra-drop distances, and it becomes very expensive to deliver to customers, and therefore you have to ask your customers for delivery fees. What we thought is, if we have shorter intra-drop distances and making sure that we have a bus route system, so that means we see every customer and every street only once per day, then for such a delivery system, we can are so much more efficient that we don't have to ask our customers for delivery fees.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wow. So this sounds much more complex than a simple delivery app or a simple delivery company. And Picnic is a tech company, right? So what is the most challenging and exciting aspect from a CTO perspective regarding Picnic?
So there are lots of exciting challenges that we are actually tackling every day, and that make us pretty excited and keep us awake at night. Mm-hmm. But the three topics that we find most exciting are, the first thing is that the breadth of the tech stack. So we are covering not only a shopping app, so that means the way how customers order, but we have payment solutions, we have forecasting solutions, we have logistical planning, we have warehousing, fulfillment, people planning, accounting, etc. So a very, very broad tech stack that we have built ourselves, that we operate ourselves, and that we incrementally improve. So the second one is also the depth of the tech stack. So it's not only a very broad one, but it's also very deep on every function and vertical. And the reason why we are doing this is everything what we have built ourselves, what we operate ourselves, we want to build and operate a best-in-class solution. It should be basically the best solution on earth for a special vertical. An example could be the solution that we have built for our fulfillment and warehousing proposition is basically, for the way how we operate our logistical model, the best available solution in the market. And the third one is, and that keeps me pretty much excited, and that is a very ongoing topic, is the transition from our software development company, a software tech company, to become a true data and machine learning driven company. Mm-hmm. So what does it mean for us? So this means, while we are now have started to model all our software, let's say the hardcode fixed rules in software Java-based rules, so there's a large Java stack, we have now also step-by-step built up a broader machine learning stack, and therefore every kind of solution that we build is a half software solution, a half machine learning solution. And that means on a day-by-day basis, with getting new data in, we are training the models a bit further, the models are becoming better, and operation tomorrow, recommendation tomorrow, forecasting and prediction tomorrow will be better than today, based on today's operational data. So therefore, we don't need to make additional software development in order to get better. We just need to operate for more customers in a broader geographic range.
Mm-hmm. And from a customer's perspective, what differentiates Picnic from delivery services of traditional grocery stores? What are the benefits that are the key differentiators?
So from a consumer angle, we have a next day delivery model. So that means you order today until 10 o'clock your groceries, and then we deliver to you tomorrow. The proposition that we have is we deliver at lowest price. So we are matching every day our prices with the competitors, and we take the lowest price, and you don't have to pay for the deliveries. Such a proposition doesn't exist currently in the market. So we have a pretty unique proposition, and that really differentiates us significantly from the rest of the industry. Mm-hmm. Additionally, if you look to the retail space, then what really differentiates us here is that we have built our tech stack completely in-house. So from day one, we knew that we are a tech company, that we need to build a tech company in this space, and that we need to build all solutions ourselves. Mm-hmm. So if you look to our day-to-day operation, then more than 80% of what we are doing with technology is basically built on technology that we have built ourselves. So we are using a couple of standard solutions. Obviously, there is Slack, there is Google services, and there is also some Salesforce. But to a very large extent, we have built all the software solutions ourselves that we operate now on a day-by-day basis.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Coming back again shortly to the customers, who would you say is the target audience of Picnic? Is it more like the early adopters or the elderly who can't go to the supermarket anymore? Who is the main group you're currently targeting?
So the proposition that we have in Picnic appeals to students, to families, and to elderly. So there is a very broad range of customers that we have. Mm-hmm. What we see is that it is The most excited customers that we have are families, and the reason for this is the service that we provide is very appealing because we help them. We are not providing only a convenient service, but we give back time. We allow them to save money, and to some extent, we also provide joy with the way how we deliver, the way how you shop with Picnic. So in this sense, probably the biggest share is with families. But we see certainly also that we have a large amount of students, especially in the cities that are large student cities. And we have also elderly people. So that means our oldest customer, for instance, is 96. She has an iPad with font size at 200%. And on this iPad, she has a browser, she has Skype to chat with her grandchild, and she has the Picnic app. Perfect. So that is something which we are pretty proud of, because initially we were thinking, how can a service that is mobile only actually work with such a broad age range? And we were not sure if it is also appealing to elderly people, but we are pretty happy to see that this works also basically for everybody in the society.
Perfect. So Picnic originally started in the Netherlands, but you recently also expanded to Germany. How is this expansion going so far, and are you planning to enter into more countries soon?
So we started in Netherlands in 2015 in a small city to test the demand. And what we saw is that there's so much more demand that we can fulfill, that we focused very much on how can we quickly build up the proposition first in Netherlands. And then we looked a bit into the neighbor countries and tried to understand what is an interesting country to start next. I myself come originally from Germany. We saw also Germany. We knew that the German customers would be interested in such a service, so we started in Germany in 2018. What we see there is that we're growing even faster in Germany than in Netherlands, so this is actually a pretty exciting journey that we are now doing in Germany. Mm-hmm. And our geographical expansion will certainly not stop here. So we are also looking at how to expand further beyond both Netherlands and Germany, where we are now also operating already at a pretty significant scale. So if you're looking to the size, what we are doing in Netherlands, we are now having more than 500,000 customers here in Netherlands. We have significantly more than 100,000 customers in Germany. So this is a pretty significant size that we have reached here. And if you put this a bit in context, this is a service where customers are ordering at least once per week. So that means there is also very high frequency on how customers are using our service. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you just mentioned it there. Picnic has been growing like crazy, right? And if I saw it correctly on LinkedIn, you guys have already over 1,000 or 1,500 team members now. And I'm wondering, how does the management team of Picnic make sure that everyone is in such a fast-growing environment, that everyone in the team continues to be on the same page and continues to be motivated? Can you share some tricks and learnings?
That actually is a pretty interesting and exciting challenge. In a startup that is growing so fast, we are now already more than 5,000 people. So we have 2,500 in fulfillment centers, 2,500 on the street. We have more than 300 in headquarter-like roles. So if you grow so fast, you actually have to reinvent yourself every half year, because the organization looks different. So that means you're continuously reviewing and challenging yourself on how do you want to organize yourself. The magic behind the way how we are managing this process is that we are putting a lot of focus and effort on the culture. So we are looking for a culture that we call Think, Dare, Do, basically capturing all three principles. So we are very analytical, we dare to do big things, and we are pretty focused on execution excellence. So those kind of aspects we have actually maintained across our journey from starting as a small company with just a few people in the 15 to now 5,000 people across 2 countries. Mm-hmm. Another aspect that is pretty important is keeping hierarchy flat. Mm-hmm. So we are not interested in building a lot of different management layers. It is very important that we define upfront very clearly who has which kind of responsibilities, and then we leave it up to the teams to actually take this ownership and responsibility in a way that they deliver value for customers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and with such a big and fast growth, it can't be avoided to make mistakes along the way. And I assume you and your founding team members also made some mistakes. What were some of the biggest mistakes you've made or experienced while building Picnic, and what did you learn from it?
So there have been probably a lot of mistakes, or to put it a little bit more mildly, things that you would do different now with the exposed information. If you look back to such a startup journey, the judgment, what was a mistake, is if you reflect a bit on the information that you had at this point in time, if you would with this partial information would do different, then you made a mistake. If with this partial information you made the best possible choice, and afterwards you see that you could have done a better choice, then it is still not a mistake. So if you're looking now back, there is definitely one thing what we learned and what we would do, would do in the next journey is slightly different, is that there are different maturity levels for different kind of products. If you look to consumer-facing products, if you have a consumer proposition, then you can actually have a pretty partial, pretty early, a pretty immature proposition that you go to the market, then together with your customers, you learn along the journey what actually should be your real proposition. While you have for some technical verticals and technical functions, for instance, data analytics, you need to actually be full-fledged right from day one. If you don't have a good analytic solution, don't measure the right things to you, don't measure it in an accurate way, then you don't have any form of analytics. So therefore, having a better understanding and building analytics from day one, really end-to-end, completely full-fledged, scalable and accurate, this is something what we learned on our journey, that we had to put a little bit more focus on in our journey. So now we have analytics for all our consumer service, for the backend services, but this is something what we should have probably built at an earlier stage. So this is something what we built in 2016 and 17 to a very large extent, where we are collecting basically all the insights that we can learn from both consumers, but also from the fulfillment operation and from the logistical delivery. But that is something what could have helped us also at an earlier stage.
Talking about the future a bit, Picnic keeps growing fast. Maybe in the future there might be an IPO or not. I don't know. What would you say are the next big milestones for Picnic, and where do you see the company in 4 to 5 years from now?
So there are many, many challenges that we are tackling along our journey. We are organizing this along 3 key dimensions. On the one hand, we are looking into growing further our business, so that means more customers and deeper customer penetration, etc. Second one is we are looking in interesting options of a business model expansion, and that means, for instance, a very interesting direction when you are a delivery service. We are a forward delivery service, so you deliver stuff to customers. You can think of how can you use such a logistical network also for more services. So one simple observation that we had was that while we are going always full to a customer, we're going empty back. So that means if you look to the utilization of your fleet, of your logistical vehicles, you have a utilization that is only 50%, because half of the time the vehicles are empty when they're going back. However, if you go a bit further in this market, you realize that there is also a market for what is called return logistics. So for instance, if you look to things like fashion retail, then everybody orders 5 pairs of jeans and sends 4 back because you need only one. But you need to try different sizes, different colors, that you can make your decision which one you want to take. So therefore, we are actually organizing now also return logistics for those kind of companies. So that is a very interesting business model expansion, and there are many, many, many more ideas that we are exploring and that we can go further. And then the third one, which is from a tech side, a very exciting one, is automation. So we have raised last year a new funding round to actually fuel our automation ambition to build a fully robotized and fully automated warehouse. And that is one of the major development projects that we are now building, and that will drive our growth in the coming years.
Okay. Then also we have to talk shortly about the elephant in the room. How did COVID-19 impact Picnic so far? Was it rather positive or negative?
So COVID actually influenced us on a couple of angles. So the first thing happened in late February, early March, where we saw that Many of our customers started to work from home, didn't feel comfortable to go any longer to the supermarket. And we saw a huge demand spike. So many customers actually reactivated their shopping, started to shop again online, and we had a huge spike of new customers on our side. Mm-hmm. So this was the starting point, and we had to actually cope with this demand while on the other side, the logistical systems, the supplier systems have been pretty much changed. So you can imagine that in a world where everybody had to fulfill the 1.5 meter requirements, that logistical services, supplier services were also changed to keep up their capacity. So this was the period in February, March, April. What we saw then is in the second phase that customers got more acquainted with the situation of working from home. Some went again to a physical supermarket. So we started actually to transform this additional demand into lasting demand, where we running a few campaigns to convince those customers that the new way of doing shopping online is something that they can stick with also for the longer term. And what we see now is that there's still a huge additional demand compared to the pre-COVID area. And what is very exciting is to see that many of those customers that started shopping, online shopping with Picnic in those phases, did actually stick with Picnic. So this means that the proposition is something what also on the longer term they really like.
Okay, well, yeah. So COVID-19 definitely accelerated the shift to digital, apparently also in the grocery shopping market. And speaking about the future of grocery shopping, do you think that most traditional grocery stores will still be around in 15 years from now? Or do you think that actually a model like Picnic will someday replace traditional grocery stores?
So let's reflect a little bit on where we stand in this online food revolution. When we started in 2015, there was a market share for online food services in the range of somewhere 2 to 3%. By now, it is in the range of 4 to 5%. It is still relatively small. In the areas where we are active, we have a very significant market share of both online, but also if you look online versus offline. And we see a massive growth. But there is certainly still a place also in 10 years and in 20 years for the physical supermarkets. I'm pretty convinced that especially this kind of ad hoc on-demand shopping, so you're coming from work, you're going home, or you forgot a product, you need to quickly shop for milk or butter because you were running low on those products. This is something where the physical supermarkets will still play a very important role. If you look to the planned purchases that you do on a weekly basis, where you upfront plan for your family, what do you want to eat next week? What is your dinner or your dinner meal on a Tuesday? What is your lunch meal on Saturday? So those kind of shoppings, I'm convinced that a large part will move to online services. Mm-hmm. And our proposition to have a full range proposition, all the supermarket articles, and you can in an arbitrary way select the kind of products that is very appealing to customers. Other services, for instance, meal kit services, have also a space. So we'll see a bit which proposition will get a bit share on the longer term. But this is a kind of a revolution that will nobody can really stop.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the food market is a massive market, right? Because everyone eats every day, several times, and many companies want a piece of it. So you obviously also have many big competitors. Who would you say is the most serious competitor for Picnic? Is it like Amazon or more like Glovo, or is it traditional grocery stores? Who are you most afraid of?
So everybody needs to eat. So in this sense, if you look to services, companies, providers that fulfill this kind of demand, then you have a very, very broad range. Then every restaurant is obviously fulfilling this demand. Then every kind of farmer that is selling from their farm products is in essence also fulfilling this kind of service. But if you look a bit more careful, if you zoom in, what is the real proposition that we are offering to customers and who has a comparable proposition, who fulfills a similar kind of demand. And our proposition is lowest price pre-delivery for the everyday customer. then there are not many solutions in the market that provide a convincing proposition for those type of customers. If you look, for instance, to Deliveroo and Glovo, to the companies that you mentioned, so those are obviously companies that are delivering prepared food from restaurants. There is certainly a market for this, and that is something what is currently massively booming. And you see also how the market is changing with dark kitchens, etc. But this is by itself only a share of a market which is in total, if you look to food consumption, has probably a ceiling at some level. And if you look to the market of unprepared food, so where customers can prepare the food themselves at home, that will certainly stay the majority of food retail. So this is the market that we are serving. And in this market, we believe that a free of choice kind of selection of grocery products is a better choice than meal kits. And we are serving this market. Our customers confirms that this is a proposition that they like. They also see a lot of future in it. What gives us a lot of confidence going forward is that we have not only customers that shop already with us, but that are also on a waiting list. So in order to balance capacity and demand, we don't let all customers immediately in the Picnic store, but we only let them in when we have enough capacity to fulfill their demand. So therefore, we have now a very significant waiting list of customers that are waiting to actually get served by a Picnic. And our focus day by day is that we are building up enough capacity that we can also serve those additional customers.
Okay, understood. So I assume that some of our listeners might be interested to join Picnic on this growth journey. In which areas are you currently hiring most, and where can listeners find the job openings?
So Picnic is hiring across the board on all different roles. So we are looking for engineers, we are looking for analysts, we are looking for operators on all seniority levels with very, very different kind of backgrounds. If you go to our page, join.picnic.app, you will find all the vacancies, all the openings. If you have an interesting profile, if you're coming from Startup Scale-Up, if you're interested in a Startup Scale-Up space, if you want to do something what nobody else has done before, then you are definitely the profile that we are looking for. At our page, join.picnic.app, you will find all the vacancies. Otherwise, just send us an application at jobs@teampicnic.com, and we will follow up and hope to talk to you very soon.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much, Daniel, for the time and for your interview. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks so much. Great talking to you. And thanks to everybody out there who is listening to this. If you're interested in what we're doing, have a look to picnic.app and hope to see you all either in the Picnic shop or in the office.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon, Daniel.
Thank you.